Well, at first I wasn't going to speak, but I feel like I want to give voice to what happened during my experience. It was as if my body was just completely taken. There's some severe trauma in my early childhood that I felt like was being reawakened. And at times there were just waves of sadness about that. And then instantaneously, I was laughing as deeply as I have laughed in a very long time. So that spectrum was wild. And the spectrum of movement was very unusual. Sometimes it was very chaotic. And then other times there was this rhythmic motion, almost like an ocean wave that just was so tender, and I felt like I was being cradled, being held.
Wow.
It was wonderful.
It was interesting to me because I was amazed at how quickly my body started to vibrate, even with the wall exercise. And then when we got on the floor, it was even more intense. And most of the feeling that I had was alternately a lot of sadness and a lot of release. And then at some point, I guess I just got through that, and I just felt so joyful and so, and I don't get very many belly laughs. I just don't get to that easily. So it was wonderful, and I couldn't stop, and it just felt very joyful. And so that was wonderful. I really loved it.
I had a very clear sense of just not being in charge of it and of being accustomed to being in charge. So I had the option, and I was aware of having the option of stopping it or speeding it up, and I elected to simply go with it, which was a wise decision. And then afterwards, when we were stretched out and no longer expecting the shaking, I was aware of energy moving in the abdominal area, and that was just fantastic. Not just the sensation, but the awareness that there was an aftermath, there was a consequence for all of that, and just allowing that to happen. So it felt very good.
My experience, I've done this before, but I tried not to program myself and just relax into the experience. And what I noticed was the different forms of shaking, of course, were involuntary, but then I began to rock back and forth, and I kept thinking, well, you know, am I supposed to be doing this? And then I would shut down my thinking and just let it happen. But what I noticed about the rocking was after a while, I began, as I was listening to my body more and more, I began to think my body is really taking care of me by the rocking. And first the rocking was very rapid, and then it just went into almost like a lullaby. And so after that happened, another form of shaking went on, and then at that moment, all of a sudden, I felt like it was like an oasis. I was like I was just relieved of stress. It felt like I didn't have it up to my head, but it was more like I just was very aware that whatever had been worrying me was not there any longer. So I was very grateful for